My girlfriend said, confess to emotional cheating or move out because I commented congratulations on a coworker's engagement post. So I moved out and discovered she had been catfishing my friends for months. I am David, 26M, and I work as a pharmacy technician at a local CVS. My girlfriend, Brittany, 25F, is a preschool teacher. We have been together 3 years, living together for the past 18 months in her apartment. I thought we were solid until last Tuesday when my world imploded over the most innocent social media interaction you can imagine. Here is what happened. My coworker Samantha got engaged over the weekend to her boyfriend of 4 years. She posted photos on Instagram of the proposal at some fancy restaurant downtown. Beautiful ring, huge smile, the whole 9 yards. I scrolled past it during my lunch break and left a comment. Congratulations, so happy for you both. That is it. 3 words and an exclamation point. I didn't even like the post, just commented and kept scrolling through my feed. Didn't think anything of it because why would I? It is what normal people do when coworkers share good news. Brittany saw the comment that evening while we were watching Netflix. She was on her phone, not really paying attention to the show, when she suddenly went rigid. David, what is this comment on Samantha's post? I looked over. What about it? She got engaged. I said congratulations. Why are you following her posts so closely? I am not following them closely. It showed up in my feed. I was being polite. That is when things went sideways fast. You liked her post from last week about her new haircut, did I? I don't really pay attention to what I like. And this one from 2 weeks ago about her vacation. I was getting confused. Brittany. I scroll and tap. I don't memorize every interaction. What is the problem here? She turned to face me completely, phone still in hand. The problem is you are emotionally cheating on me with your coworker. I actually laughed. Not to be dismissive, but because the accusation was so far from reality, it seemed absurd. That is not what emotional cheating is. I barely know her outside of work schedules and pharmacy inventory. Don't gaslight me, David. I can see the pattern. You are engaging with her content, following her life, commenting on her relationships, and random acquaintances from high school. It doesn't mean anything, but Brittany wasn't hearing it. She had constructed this entire narrative in her head and was committed to it. I want you to be honest with me right now. Do you have feelings for Samantha? No. Absolutely not. She is a coworker who happens to be engaged to someone she is crazy about. There is nothing there. Are you attracted to her, Brittany? Stop. This is insane. Answer the question. That doesn't mean I want to date them or that I am cheating on you by acknowledging they exist. Wrong answer. Brittany's face went cold in a way I had never seen before. So you admit you are attracted to her. I admit she is objectively attractive. Like saying the sky is blue. It doesn't mean anything beyond basic human observation. It means everything. You are developing feelings for another woman and lying to me about it. 2 hours of me trying to explain that congratulating someone on their engagement isn't romantic interest. And her insisting I was either lying or in denial about my obvious feelings. Nothing I said made any difference. She had decided what my intentions were and no amount of reality was going to change her mind. Finally, she gave me an ultimatum. I need you to do 2 things. First, admit that you have inappropriate feelings for Samantha, and that you have been emotionally cheating. Second, delete all your social media accounts, so this doesn't happen again. I stared at her. You want me to confess to something that didn't happen and delete my Instagram, because I said congratulations to a coworker. I want you to be honest about what is really going on here. What is really going on is you are accusing me of thought crimes based on common courtesy. If you cannot do those 2 simple things, then maybe you should think about whether you want to be in this relationship. There was the nuclear option disguised as a choice. Confess to emotional cheating. I didn't commit. Delete my social media like a punishment, or face the threat of breakup. I looked at this woman I had been planning a future with and realized I didn't recognize her anymore. Are you seriously asking me to lie and say I have feelings for someone I don't? Just to make you feel better about your own insecurity? I am asking you to be honest. I am being honest. The problem is, you don't believe honesty that doesn't match your assumptions. She crossed her arms. So what is it going to be, David? I could have caved. Part of me wanted to just say whatever she needed to hear to make this stop. But something deeper rebelled against the idea of confessing to emotional cheating that never happened. Once you start apologizing for things you didn't do, where does it end? I am not confessing to something I didn't do, and I am not deleting my social media because you don't trust me to use it appropriately. Then I think you should pack some things and stay somewhere else until you are ready to be honest with me. I sat there for a minute, processing that she was actually kicking me out over this. Over a congratulations comment. Over her own paranoid interpretation of basic human decency. Okay, I said, I will pack a bag. She blinked, clearly not expecting me to agree. You are really choosing her over me? I am choosing not to lie about my feelings to appease your jealousy. If that is the same thing to you, then yeah, I guess I am. I packed enough clothes for a week, grabbed my laptop and phone charger, and called my buddy Jake from college. He has got a 2-bedroom place about 20 minutes away, and said I could crash on his couch while I figured things out. As I was leaving, Brittany was crying on the phone with her sister Morgan. I heard her say he chose his coworker over me as I walked out the door. That was 4 days ago. She has texted me twice, asking if I am ready to have an honest conversation yet. I haven't responded because I don't know what honesty means to someone who thinks congratulating a coworker on their engagement is emotional cheating. I am writing this from Jake's couch at 2 a.m. because I cannot sleep. Part of me keeps thinking I should just apologize and go home. But the bigger part knows that once you start confessing to crimes you didn't commit, the demands will only get bigger. What happens next time I speak to a female cashier or help an elderly woman reach something on a high shelf? I don't know if this relationship is salvageable, but I know it is not salvageable on the terms she is offering. Some hills are worth dying on, even if the hill is as small as the right to say congratulations without being accused of affair planning. Update 1. Sorry for the delayed update. My phone screen shattered yesterday and I had to get it fixed. Been a crazy few days since my last post. First off, thanks to everyone who said I am not crazy for refusing to confess to emotional cheating I didn't commit. Was starting to question my own sanity after Brittany's relentless accusations. The situation has escalated in ways I didn't see coming. Brittany's moved beyond just accusing me of having feelings for Samantha. Now she is actively trying to prove it by becoming some kind of amateur detective. Day 5 of staying at Jake's, she showed up at my workplace. I was counting pills behind the pharmacy counter when I looked up to see her standing at the consultation window with this weird smile on her face. Hi, David. We need to talk. I am at work, Brittany. Whatever this is can wait. It is about closure. I think we both deserve that. My supervising pharmacist, Dr. Rodriguez, was right there and clearly uncomfortable with personal drama playing out in the workspace. David, why don't you take your 15-minute break? So I had to walk out and deal with whatever Brittany had planned. She led me to the parking lot. And that is when things got weird. I have been thinking about everything you said. She started, about how you don't have feelings for Samantha. And I realized there is a simple way to prove it, which is, come with me to talk to her right now. If you really don't have feelings, then having a conversation with her in front of me shouldn't be a problem. I stared at her. You want me to drag my coworker into our relationship drama to prove something to you? I want to see how you act around her when I am watching. Brittany, that is insane. Samantha doesn't even know we are having problems. She has got her own life and her own engagement to think about. I am not involving her in this, because you know you will give yourself away. Because it is inappropriate and crazy to ambush a coworker with relationship interrogation. She got that cold look again. So you are protecting her now. I am protecting normal professional boundaries. That is when she pulled out her phone and showed me something that made my blood run cold. Screenshots of what looked like Instagram DMs between me and Samantha. Except I have never DM'd Samantha, ever. We have literally never had a private conversation outside of work stuff. What is this? I asked. You tell me. I looked closer at the screenshots. The account had my name and what looked like my profile picture, but the messages were all wrong. Flirty comments about her engagement photos, asking personal questions about her relationship, even suggesting they meet up for coffee to celebrate properly. Brittany, I didn't send these messages. This isn't my account. Then how do you explain them? I cannot explain them because I didn't send them. Someone's either faking these screenshots or created a fake account with my information. So now there is a conspiracy against you. I pulled out my phone and showed her my actual Instagram DMs. The conversation with Samantha didn't exist because it never happened. Look at my real account. There are no messages to her. You could have deleted them. Why would I show you fake evidence of cheating and then delete the real evidence? That makes no sense. But she was already walking away. I will figure out the truth with or without your help, David. That evening, Jake asked me how long I was planning to stay on his couch. Not in a mean way, but in a practical roommate way. I realized I needed to make some decisions about my living situation, instead of just camping out indefinitely. So yesterday I found a small efficiency apartment about 15 minutes from work. It is not much. Just a studio with a kitchenette and a bathroom. But it is furnished and available immediately. The rent's $750 a month, which is tight on a pharmacy tech salary but manageable if I am careful. I signed the lease that afternoon and moved my stuff from Jake's place. It felt weird, signing a lease by myself. 3 years with Brittany and I had gotten used to making decisions together, but also kind of liberating to choose an apartment based purely on what I wanted and could afford. Thy coworker Samantha texted me around 9 p.m. Hey David, this is really awkward, but I got some weird messages today from someone claiming to be your girlfriend. She said you had been messaging me inappropriately and wanted to verify if it was true. I told her we have never had any personal conversations outside of work stuff. Just wanted to give you a heads up that she contacted me. Dropped to Brittany had actually reached out to Samantha directly. I called Sam immediately to apologize. I am so sorry she dragged you into this, I said. I'm having some relationship problems, and she is convinced herself that I have feelings for you based on literally nothing. Yeah. She seemed pretty upset. She kept asking if you had ever flirted with me or asked personal questions. I told her no, but she didn't seem to believe me. What exactly did she say? She said you had been messaging me on Instagram and that she had proof. But David, you have never messaged me. I would remember that. I know. She showed me fake screenshots earlier. Either someone's creating fake accounts, or she is making this stuff up entirely. That is really concerning behavior. David. Like, really concerning. After I hung up, I sat in my new empty apartment trying to process what was happening. Brittany wasn't just accusing me of emotional cheating anymore. She was actively harassing my coworker and potentially creating fake evidence to support her delusions. I called Jake to talk through everything. His take was pretty blunt. Bro, she has gone full psycho. Creating fake screenshots, harassing your coworker, showing up at your job. That is not jealousy anymore. That is stalking behavior. But what if she really believes something happened? What if she is not making it up but genuinely thinks I am lying? Then she needs therapy, not a confession from you. Normal people don't create elaborate fraud schemes to prove their boyfriends are cheating. This morning I found out it gets worse. Samantha's fiancé, Marcus, called me before my shift started. Hey man, I don't really know you, but I felt like I should reach out. That woman who contacted Sam yesterday, she called me too. My heart sank. What did she say? She told me that you have been pursuing my girlfriend, and that Sam was probably lying to protect you. She said she had evidence that you had been DMing Sam and commenting on her posts inappropriately. Marcus, I swear to you, I have never pursued Samantha. I have never DM'd her. I commented, "Congratulations on your engagement post," and that is literally the extent of our social media interaction. Yeah, that is what Sam said. Look, I trust my girl completely, but this chick seemed really convinced. She sent me screenshots of messages that she claimed were from you. Can you forward me those screenshots? Sure, but they looked fake as hell to me. The profile picture was wrong and some of the details didn't match what Sam told me about you. When Marcus sent me the screenshots, I realized how deep this rabbit hole went. The fake account wasn't just using my name. It had personal details about my job, my interests, even references to inside jokes that only Brittany would know. Someone had put serious effort into creating a convincing fake profile. The question was who and why. But I think I am starting to figure out the answer. and it is going to change everything I thought I knew about the last 3 years of my life. Update 2. I figured out what has really been going on, and it is so much worse than I thought possible. After Marcus sent me those fake screenshots, I started digging deeper into who could have created such a detailed fake profile of me. The account knew things that only someone close to me would know: work schedules, inside jokes, even personal details about my family that I had only shared with Brittany. I started thinking about other weird things that had happened over the past year, times when mutual friends had acted strange around me, like they had heard something but weren't sure how to bring it up. A few instances where people seemed surprised when I mentioned Brittany and I were still together. So I reached out to my friend Chris, who I had grown distant from over the past few months. We used to hang out regularly, but he had stopped inviting me to things and had been kind of cold when we did see each other. "Chris, can I ask you something? Have you heard anything about me cheating on Brittany or being inappropriate with other women?" There was a long pause. "David, that is a complicated question." "What do you mean complicated?" "I mean, I heard some stuff, but I wasn't sure if I should believe it or bring it up with you." "What kind of stuff?" That is when he told me something that changed everything. About 6 months ago, a woman had reached out to him on Instagram. Someone he didn't recognize, using a profile that claimed to be interested in dating. They had chatted for a few weeks, and she had seemed really into him. But then she started asking weird questions about me, whether I was really happy with Brittany, if I had ever mentioned being attracted to other women, if I seemed like the type to cheat. Chris thought it was strange, but figured maybe she was just curious about mutual friends. Then she started sending me screenshots of conversations she claimed to have had with you. "You were supposedly complaining about Brittany and talking about wanting to see other people." My blood went cold, Chris. I never had those conversations. I have never messaged anyone about being unhappy with Brittany. "Yeah, I started wondering about that when the messages didn't sound like you at all. The tone was all wrong. But then I thought maybe you were just different when you were venting to women." I asked him to send me everything he had from these conversations. What I saw made me sick to my stomach. The fake account had been having detailed conversations with Chris, pretending to be some random woman interested in dating him, while simultaneously pumping him for information about me and feeding him fake evidence of my supposed infidelity. But here is the really twisted part. The woman's profile picture looked familiar. It took me a while to place it, but eventually I realized where I had seen that face before. It was a photo from Brittany's college roommate Jessica's Instagram, but with different hair and makeup, subtle enough that Chris wouldn't recognize it, but convincing enough to seem like a real person. I called Chris immediately. "That woman who was messaging you, did she ever mention her name?" "She said her name was Ashley." "Why?" I sent him a screenshot of Jessica's Instagram. "Does this look like the person you were talking to?" "Holy shit. David, that is definitely her." "But how did you know?" That is when I explained what I had figured out. Brittany hadn't just been accusing me of emotional cheating. She had been running an elaborate catfishing operation on our mutual friends, using fake profiles to prove that I was the unfaithful boyfriend she claimed I was. But I needed more evidence before I could confront anyone about this. So I reached out to 2 other friends who had grown distant recently, Marcus and Tyler. Both of them had similar stories. A mysterious woman had contacted them on social media, seemingly interested in casual conversation, but eventually steering the discussion toward my relationship and sharing evidence of my supposed cheating. Marcus was the most helpful because he would actually saved all the screenshots this woman had sent him. When I compared them to what Chris had received, it was clear they would all come from the same source. Same fake conversation threads, same manufactured evidence, same gradual buildup of proof that I was a serial cheater. But the smoking gun came from Tyler. The fake account had messaged him just last week. After my fight with Brittany about the Samantha comment, she was asking him about female coworkers at my job, and whether he thought I seemed suspicious around women at work. "Tyler, this woman contacted you after my girlfriend, and I had our fight. That is not a coincidence. So you think your girlfriend is catfishing your friends to prove you are cheating?" "I think my girlfriend has been catfishing my friends for months to isolate me and justify her accusations." The timeline made perfect sense. Brittany had been planting seeds of doubt about my faithfulness for almost half a year, using fake accounts to gradually convince our friend group that I was untrustworthy. When she finally accused me directly about Samantha, she expected everyone to already believe I was capable of cheating. But her plan backfired because she got too aggressive too fast. The Samantha accusation was so obviously false that it made people question the other evidence they had been fed. I spent yesterday collecting screenshots and testimonies from Chris, Marcus, and Tyler. I also had Samantha write a brief statement confirming that I had never contacted her inappropriately, and that Brittany had harassed both her and her fiancé with false accusations. Then I did something I probably should have done weeks ago. I called Brittany. David, are you ready to talk honestly now? Actually, I am. I think it is time we had a completely honest conversation about what has been happening. Good. I knew you would eventually. I know about Ashley. Silence. I know about the fake Instagram accounts. I know you have been catfishing Chris and Marcus and Tyler. I know you have been feeding them fake screenshots of conversations I never had. More silence, Brittany. I have evidence. Screenshots, testimonies, timelines. I know exactly what you have been doing for the past 6 months. When she finally spoke, her voice was completely different. Smaller, scared. You don't understand. I was trying to protect our relationship. By destroying my friendships and framing me for cheating I never did. By figuring out if you were really committed to me, those guys were too willing to believe you had cheated. That proved they don't really respect our relationship. The logic was so twisted I could barely respond. So you catfished our friends to test their loyalty to a relationship they didn't even know was in trouble. I was testing everyone, including you. Testing me for what? To see if you would confess when confronted with evidence. You mean evidence you manufactured? I mean evidence of who you really are. That is when I realized there was no point in continuing the conversation. Brittany had constructed this elaborate fantasy where I was the villain, and she was the detective, and no amount of reality was going to penetrate that delusion. Brittany, I am done. This relationship is over. You are really going to throw away 3 years over a misunderstanding? I am ending 3 years of manipulation and psychological abuse disguised as love. I hung up and immediately blocked her number. Then I sent a group text to Chris, Marcus, Tyler, and a few other mutual friends, explaining the situation and sharing the evidence I had collected. The response was swift and unanimous. Everyone was horrified by what Brittany had done. Chris said he felt violated that someone had manipulated him for months under false pretenses. Marcus said he and Samantha were considering getting a restraining order against Brittany for harassment. But here is what really gets me. When I think back over the past year, I can see how Brittany had been isolating me from friends, making me question my own social interactions, and gradually conditioning me to see normal human behavior as potential betrayal. The Samantha comment wasn't the beginning of her jealousy. It was the culmination of a months-long campaign to prove I was unfaithful, using evidence she had created herself. I have been staying in my little efficiency apartment for a week now, and honestly, it is the most peace I have felt in months. No one questioning my every interaction, no one demanding I justify basic human courtesy, no one creating elaborate schemes to prove I am a liar. Tomorrow, I am meeting with a therapist Dr. Rodriguez recommended. Apparently dealing with manipulative relationships requires professional help to fully process. Who knew that congratulations on an engagement post could reveal so much about someone's true character? Time to figure out who David Miller really is, when he is not constantly defending himself against fictional crimes. Final update. It has been 2 months since I last posted, and people have been DMing me asking for closure on this insane situation. Fair enough. I left everyone hanging after discovering Brittany's catfishing operation. The restraining order situation resolved itself when Brittany's sister Morgan reached out to me directly. Apparently, Brittany had admitted to the catfishing scheme during a family intervention. Morgan was horrified and convinced Brittany to stop all contact with me, Samantha, and Marcus. She also made Brittany delete all the fake social media accounts. Morgan apologized on behalf of her family and said they had had no idea how far Brittany's behavior had escalated. Apparently, this wasn't her first time creating relationship drama through social media manipulation, but it was definitely the most elaborate. As for our mutual friends, the group dynamics needed some rebuilding. Chris felt particularly betrayed since he had been the primary target of Brittany's fake dating profile, but once everyone understood what had actually happened, they were supportive. Tyler said something that really stuck with me. "Man, we all thought you had changed over the past year, got quieter, stopped hanging out as much, seemed stressed all the time." That hit because it was true. I would become isolated, and the efficiency apartment worked out well. Living alone after 3 years of cohabitation was an adjustment. I have been going to therapy that Dr. Rodriguez recommended, which has helped me process everything that happened. Work is more comfortable now. Samantha and I can have normal professional conversations without me overthinking every word. She and Marcus actually invited me to their wedding next month. I still catch myself over explaining simple social interactions sometimes, but it is getting better. Last week I got a text from an unknown number. Just said I am sorry for everything. I know I was wrong. Probably Brittany from a new phone. I didn't respond. The efficiency apartment lease is up next month, and I am moving into a bigger one-bedroom place. Jake's helping me move, along with Chris and Tyler. Looking back, the craziest part isn't that Brittany accused me of emotional cheating over a congratulations comment. The craziest part is that she spent 6 months building an elaborate justification for accusations she was planning to make anyway. Still hard to believe this all started because I commented congratulations on a coworker's engagement post. 3 years of relationship ended by fake Instagram accounts and manufactured evidence. Thanks for following this bizarre journey. That is pretty much where things stand now.